The movie begins with a sweeping night view of Barcelona. Maximo, a man deeply entangled in the criminal underworld, calls his son Ander to check if he's ready. They plan to leave the city as soon as Maximo wraps up his work. Maximo then travels to a drug factory in Colombia, accompanied by his stepbrother Lucero and their trusted friend, Rafa. Upon arrival, Lucero enters the factory alone to meet with the owner, Romeo. The purpose of this meeting is to finalize a deal that would secure Romeo's support in installing Lucero's father as the new leader of all the criminal organizations in Europe. However, Romeo has a condition. His son must be given a prominent position within the organization. Meanwhile, back in Europe, Lucero's father and his stepsister Maria are en route to an important election that is set to begin in half an hour. The election is crucial, as it will determine the power dynamics within the criminal world. Back at the factory, Romeo opens the bag Lucero brought, expecting to find the agreed-upon payment. Instead, he is horrified to discover his son's severed head inside. A violent shootout erupts between Lucio's men and Romeo's guards. As chaos ensues, Lucio ruthlessly eliminates several of Romeo's men. He then orders Rafa to call his father and warn him that Romeo has escaped and the upcoming election is a trap. The scene intensifies as the stakes rise, with betrayals, power struggles, and the looming threat of violence hanging over the characters. The tension builds, setting the stage for a gripping narrative where alliances are fragile, and survival depends on quick thinking and ruthless decisions. Maximo, despite his reservations about the senseless violence, follows Lucero's orders and methodically eliminates all of Romeo's men and the factory workers. Although he despises Lucero's ruthless methods, Maximo remains loyal to his family, particularly to Lucero's father, who has always treated him like his own son. Lucero, aware that his father will arrive soon, tells Maximo to leave and start a new life with his son, Ander. He knows things are about to get worse, and this may be Maximo's last chance to abandon crime. Reluctantly, Maximo leaves the bloody scene behind, hoping to find some semblance of peace with Ander. Moments later, Lucero's father arrives at the factory, furious at the carnage Lucero has unleashed. He confronts Lucero, reminding him of the lessons he was supposed to learn when he was sent to Japan. The trip was meant to teach Lucio about loyalty, honor, and discipline. Instead, Lucero absorbed the darker aspects of the Yakuza's brutality, twisting those lessons into something far more dangerous. As his father reprimands him, Lucero subtly signals to Chilimo, one of his most feared and loyal enforcers. In an instant, Chilimo strikes, ruthlessly executing Lucero's father's bodyguards, including Maria, who is also present. However, in the chaos, Maria manages to escape, narrowly avoiding the fate that befell the others. With the room now cleared of all opposition, Lucero turns his gun on his father, ready to seize power and take his place as the leader of their criminal empire. Before pulling the trigger, Lucero reveals the deep-seated resentment he has harbored for years. He accuses his father of favoring Maria and Maximo, both adopted into the family, over him, his own biological son. The bitterness in his voice is palpable as he asks his father the chilling question, head or heart? His father, staring down the barrel of the gun, understands the gravity of the moment. This is the ultimate betrayal, and the choice Lucero offers him is no mere question, it's a death sentence. After a tense pause, his father finally responds. Lucero, without hesitation, pulls the trigger, shooting his father in the head. The echo of the gunshot lingers in the room, as Lucero watches his father fall lifeless to the ground. Chulo, one of Lucero's most trusted men, informs him that Maria managed to escape, a loose end that needs to be dealt with later. The scene then shifts to Maximo, who arrives home, visibly weary from the day's events. He embraces his son, Ander, tightly, hoping to shield him from the darkness that now encroaches upon their lives. He hands a key to the nanny, instructing her to take care of it. Unbeknownst to Maximo, the nanny, driven by greed or perhaps fear, hands the key over to a mysterious man in exchange for a hefty sum of money. As night falls, Ander is strumming his guitar, lost in the melody, when he notices a shadowy figure lurking around the house. Alarmed, he alerts his father. Maximo, sensing the imminent danger, instructs Ander to hide. However, it's too late. An armed group storms their home. Maximo, driven by the primal instinct to protect his son, fights off the attackers with lethal precision. But the onslaught is relentless. The screen fades to black, and the story jumps 2 years forward. In this new timeline, a young man named Leo is introduced. Leo is a drug dealer, operating within his college campus and the surrounding area. He's deeply involved in the underworld, though he hides this side of his life from his girlfriend, Daniela. One day, while walking through their neighborhood, Leo and Daniela pass by an old, seemingly abandoned garage. From inside, they hear the thumping sound of loud music. Curiosity gets the better of them, and they decide to investigate. To their surprise, they discover Maximo, very much alive and far from defeated. Maximo is a shadow of his former self, yet his determination is palpable. He's been training relentlessly, honing his martial arts skills and building his strength. Every punch, every kick, is driven by a burning desire for revenge against those who destroyed his family. Leo watches in awe as Maximo moves with the precision of a warrior, a man who has been reborn from the ashes of his past. The scene sets the stage for the next chapter in Maximo's life, a quest for vengeance that will bring him face to face with the ghosts of his past. After that tense encounter, Leo returns home late that night, his body aching from the beating. He hands over the money he earned from selling drugs to his mother, who remains blissfully unaware of how her son is making his living. She accepts the money, grateful for his support, and Leo also gives a birthday gift to his younger brother, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy in his fractured life. Later, Leo receives an unexpected call from his supplier, Dro, who works for Lucero. Dro informs Leo of a new assignment. He must sell drugs in territory controlled by Russian gangsters. Leo is immediately apprehensive, knowing the severe consequences of crossing the Russians. He tries to refuse, but Dro is insistent, making it clear that disobedience isn't an option. Reluctantly, Leo agrees, though he knows he's walking into a dangerous situation. When Leo arrives in the Russian-controlled area, he cautiously begins selling heroin packs. However, it isn't long before the Russian gangsters catch wind of his presence. They corner him in an empty alley, where they beat him mercilessly, warning him that if he ever tries to sell drugs in their territory again, they'll kill him without hesitation. As the Russians prepare to leave Leo battered in the alley, a figure emerges from the shadows, Maximo. With a ferocity born from years of rage and loss, Maximo intervenes, effortlessly taking down the Russian gangsters, his martial arts skills honed to deadly precision. Within moments, the attackers are either unconscious or fleeing for their lives. Without saying a word, Maximo quickly departs, leaving Leo stunned by what just happened. Maximo reveals to Leo that he has sworn vengeance on Lucero, the man responsible for his son's death and the destruction of his life. However, despite his efforts, Maximo has struggled to track down Lucero, who has managed to stay hidden in the shadows of the criminal underworld. As Leo listens, he realizes that Maximo's quest for revenge might intersect with his own life in ways he hadn't anticipated. The bond between them begins to form, built on shared pain and a desire for justice, or perhaps retribution. The stage is set for a partnership that could either save them both or lead them further down a dark, violent path. The next day, Leo approaches Maximo with a proposition. He asks Maximo to teach him self-defense, recognizing that he needs to become stronger to survive in the dangerous world he's entangled in. In return, Leo offers to teach Maximo how to play the guitar, hoping to help him reconnect with the memory of his son in a positive way. Maximo, seeing a bit of anger in Leo, agrees to the exchange. He begins by teaching Leo some basic martial arts techniques, emphasizing discipline, control, and the importance of avoiding unnecessary violence. Leo, eager to learn, picks up the skills quickly. Before leaving, Leo scribbles his phone number on a piece of paper and hands it to Maximo, telling him to call if he ever needs anything. As a gesture of friendship, Leo asks Maximo to do a special toss, a playful move that Ander used to do with Maximo. This moment of levity brings a bittersweet smile to Maximo's face as memories of his son flood back. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Lucero is living the high life, gambling with his business partners and discussing his next moves. After winning a substantial amount, he calls Rafa, his trusted associate, and reveals his plan to return to Barcelona soon. Lucero's ambition is clear. He wants to take over the leadership of the mafia from Dmitry, the powerful Russian crime boss. The thought of controlling the European criminal underworld fuels his desire for power. Back in Leo's world, the tension is rising. While attending school, Leo receives a call from Dro, who orders him to sell drugs in the Russian gangster territory again. Remembering the brutal beating he received last time, Leo flatly refuses and hangs up on Dro, an act of defiance that Dro does not take kindly to. That night, despite his better judgment, Leo returns to the Russian territory to sell drugs, hoping to make enough money to support his family. Unfortunately, Dro and his men are also there, lying in wait. When Leo spots them, he tries to flee, but it's too late. Dro and his men catch up to him, dragging him into a secluded spot. They beat him mercilessly, their anger fueled not just by Leo's disobedience but by the discovery that he had been skimming money from the drug sales. As Dro's men crush Leo's arm with a brutal stomp, Leo screams in pain, realizing the full extent of his betrayal. His life now hangs in the balance, the consequences of his actions leading him down a path of no return. Dro, glaring down at Leo, contemplates whether to let him live as a warning to others or to end him right then and there. The next day, Maximo is taken aback when Daniela shows up at his garage, visibly upset and searching for Leo. She informs Maximo that Leo had stolen money from the drug sales, and she fears that Dro has discovered the theft and might have tortured Leo as punishment. Worried for Leo's safety, Maximo sends him a message, asking to meet. They rendezvous at an old, dimly lit church, a neutral ground where they can talk without fear of being overheard. When they meet, Leo, still nursing his injuries, confesses everything to Maximo: the theft, the confrontation with Dro, and the brutal beating he endured. Maximo listens intently, his concern deepening with each word. That evening, Dro and his men head to a nightclub owned by the Russian gangsters, unaware that Maximo is following them, seeking revenge for what they did to Leo. Inside the club, Maximo moves with precision and deadly intent. He confronts Dro, and despite the presence of Dro's men, Maximo quickly and efficiently takes him down. As the fight unfolds, one of Dro's men recognizes Maximo, recalling his infamous reputation as the gladiator in the crime world, and immediately flees, not wanting to face him. After defeating Dro's men, Maximo savors his revenge by crushing Dro's hand, inflicting the same pain Dro had inflicted on Leo. With his revenge partially fulfilled, Maximo leaves the club and heads to Maria's house to check on Leo and ensure his safety. While there, Maximo also takes the opportunity to teach Maria some advanced martial arts techniques, preparing her for the imminent showdown with Lucero. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Fido pays a visit to Dro, only to find him humiliated and severely beaten. Fido, who holds no loyalty to anyone, mocks Dro for being bested. In a moment of cruel realization, Dro reveals that the man who attacked him is known as the gladiator in the crime underworld. Fido, startled by the revelation, quickly deduces that this man must be Maximo, who was thought to be dead. Sensing an opportunity to eliminate a dangerous rival, Fido doesn't hesitate. He coldly kills Dro and orders his henchmen to find out where Maximo and Leo are hiding. Back at Maria's house, Leo begins to feel better, his physical wounds healing faster than the emotional ones. Despite the danger, he decides that he needs to return home, believing that he can't hide forever. Maximo and Maria warn him that Dro's gang might still be targeting him, but Leo, stubborn and determined, insists on leaving. He thanks Maximo and Maria for their help, but ultimately walks out into the night, unaware of the new threats that are closing in on him. Maximo drives Leo home to keep him safe. When they arrive, Leo is horrified to find his younger brother, mother and grandfather brutally murdered, their bodies covered in blood. Finito and his men are already there, ready to kill Leo, but Maximo bursts in just in time and saves him. Maximo fights fiercely with Finito and his men, but Finito manages to escape when Leo, enraged, shoots at him. Maximo then takes the traumatized Leo back to Maria's house. While Maria treats Leo's wounds, Maximo informs her that Finito knows he is still alive, which angers Maria as it disrupts their carefully laid plans for revenge. Later, Maria provides Maximo with information about a man named Arqua who manages Lucero's money laundering operations at a nightclub called Seven Rain. Maximo heads to Seven Rain, where he is stopped by guards because the club is closed. Ignoring their warnings, Maximo eliminates the guards and Arqua's henchmen. Maria had informed Maximo that a van carrying cash for Lucero would arrive soon. Arqua attempts to escape, but Maximo catches and beats him, leaving a message and a cell phone for Lucero before taking all the cash. Rafa arrives at the scene and is shocked by what he sees. Arqua tells him everything, including Maximo's message and the cell phone he left behind. During the confrontation, Maximo is shot, and Maria needs to remove the bullet. However, Maximo refuses because he wants to attack Lucero immediately. Worried about Maximo's condition, Leo secretly injects him with anesthetic so Maria can remove the bullet. When Leo arrives, he points his gun at two men who are about to dispose of Arqua's body. Finito appears and beats Leon badly. Chilimo, another of Lucero's men, is shocked when Leo mentions that Maximo will come for revenge, as he thought Maximo was dead. As Finito is about to kill Leo, Maria suddenly arrives and strikes Finito. Seeing Leo's grave condition, Maria rushes him to the hospital. On the way, she tries to contact Maximo, but he is still unconscious. One of Finito's men follows Maria to the hospital and informs Finito of her location. Upon learning that Maximo is still alive, Lucero becomes furious and orders Finito to deal with the problem immediately. Chilimo, who knows Maria's house, arrives and is greeted by waking Maximo. Chilimo tells Maximo that he believes Maximo should be the leader instead of Lucero, but since Maximo chose to leave the crime world and start a new life with his son, Chilimo decided to serve Lucero. Maximo and Chilimo engage in a fierce fight, as both are skilled martial artists. During the battle, Chilimo says something that enrages Maximo, who then stabs Chilimo to death. Afterward, Maximo heads to the hospital to check on Leo and then goes to confront Lucero. Rafa, aware that Maximo is coming, warns Lucero to get ready. When Maximo arrives, he eliminates Lucero's men one by one and engages in a shootout with them. Rafa, secretly sympathetic to Maximo, helps him and allows him to confront Lucero. During the fight, one of Lucero's men throws a grenade at Maximo and Rafa. Maximo survives, but Rafael is killed. Finally, Maximo faces his stepbrother Lucero, who reveals that he orchestrated everything because their father loved Maximo and Maria, who are adopted more than him, his biological son. Unmoved by Lucero's confession, Maximo seeks revenge for his son's death. The two engage in a fierce duel with katanas. When Maximo gains the upper hand, Finito appears and takes Maria hostage. Distracted, Maximo is overpowered by Lucero. Seeing this, Maria attempts to fight Finito, but falls unconscious. Lucero orders Finito to finish Maximo, while he prepares to kill Maria. Just as Lucero is about to set Maria on fire, Maximo regains consciousness and kills Finito with a single, deadly blow. Maria wakes up and joins Maximo in the final battle against Lucero. Together, they overpower him, with Maximo stabbing Lucero in the heart and Maria delivering the final shot to his head, killing him. In the aftermath, Maximo and Maria pick up a recovering Leo from the hospital. They still have the cash from Lucero's money laundering operation. The story concludes with the difficult lesson that leaving the crime world behind is never simple, and one must always ensure there are no loose ends. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments section the next movie I will recap for you.